For centuries now, archaeologists have been pondering over the mysteries of this Neolithic Bondo burial site. That is, until now. It was previously listed as a scheduled monument, but we've been invited here today by the Historical Society of Bad Bodywork to excavate the area and unlock its mysteries. And as usual, we've got just 3 days to find out. There's so much archaeology here, I don't even know where to begin. Over here we've got this large tear, which the experts tell me is Iron Age. And all throughout this edge here, you've got all kinds of mysterious earthworks and deviations in the surface. Look at that. And over here we've got the crater from an asteroid strike that the experts tell me happened over 2 million years ago. And although a lot of the Bondo has been robbed away by the Romans to repair their chariots, we can still see there's a lot of areas that have been untouched for centuries. What lies underneath? Well, we'll soon find out. Up here we have the remains of an ancient river system going through here. And again, there's all kinds of mysterious earthworks all throughout this panel. Some say these were caused by a ball-peen hammer wielded by a Viking warlord, but we may never know for sure. See this large swale here is possibly the remains of an ancient undiscovered seabed. And over here we have the very distinctive bite marks of a Hackosaurus rex, which was alive during the late Cretaceous period. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Now, most experts believe that this was all part of an ancient ritual where the people of Ardrossan would sacrifice a perfectly repairable body panel to appease the god of autobody, Earl Scheib. And they would do this by doing the worst repair possible, ensuring that the panel could never ever be used again or made into anything presentable. And I'd say that they certainly achieved that goal very effectively. It's just amazing to discover something like this that has actually survived the test of time. Now we're going to need to put in a trench to figure out exactly what's going on here. Unfortunately, this is a scheduled monument, so we're limited to the amount of trenches that we can actually put in. So to get around this, we're just going to put in one giant trench throughout the entire panel. And to achieve this, I'm using one of those black paint stripper hamburglar wheels on an angle grinder for very effective bodywork trenching, as well as a 80 grit disc on a grinder. I didn't want to do that, but it had to be done. I guess at this point it would be a good time to mention that we're not trying to create a perfect panel here. All I'm trying to do is just make it look like a Fender again, and that's going to be good enough. It's obviously beyond the efforts that it would take to return this into anything that would be a good panel, but there's not really any rust on it, so it is something that could be used as a fender. And for the truck it's going on, which is just kind of a primer beater, it can be made into something that will fit the bill for that. And actually, I know everybody hates Bondo, but the original repair for what it was actually wasn't terrible. The problem was the rest of the damage that was done to it after it became no longer worth taking to a body shop, and people would just kind of beat it out with an axe, and then it had multiple dents put in it. It's all crunched in all through here. You see the ridges there and all that. And obviously the big dent right here. And then this is all really bad. It was obviously punched in here and then somebody just beat it out with like a ball peen or an axe handle or a combination of the three. I don't know, but this is just yeah, this is all really bad all through here. See this, the metal's torn in here. This is all munched up. And I don't even understand the purpose of this modification, but it's there. So yeah, guess we'll kind of hammer on it a bit and see what it turns into. But again, this is a panel that's readily available for not a whole lot of money. I mean, it does cost money, but it just doesn't make sense to. This reminds me of a time back when I was working in a body shop, and I was trying to destroy one of them plastic headlights off of a modern car, you know, the one-piece units that are all plastic and what have you. Reason for this, of course, was because there's not much to do in a body shop besides get drunk and wreck things. So I was had a big sledgehammer and I was going at it, and you know, I really wanted to destroy that headlight more than anything else. I just it needed to be destroyed, and I was trying so hard. I was hitting it, and I don't know what this headlight was made out of or what car it came off of. But anyways, it would just bounce and bounce, and you know, every time I hit it with a hammer, it would just take off, flying across the shop. And you know, I kept expecting it to be broken or cracked or show any signs of damage, and it was perfectly fine. So anyways, the older, more experienced bodyman was kind of watching this whole thing play out. And as some of you know, in a body shop, there's always apprentices, and then there's the more experienced body men who basically watch over the apprentices and just make sure that they're doing a thorough job and doing things properly. So anyways, I was the apprentice, and so he was kind of watching this play out, and he said, finally, he's like, okay, like, you're doing this wrong here, you know, let me show you how it's done. So he grabs a hammer similar to this, except it had a wooden handle, I believe, and he just uses this end, right? So he's sitting on the floor kind of like this, and he put it down there, and he just like went like this and just gave her all of it, and just right on the headlight, just like that. And wouldn't you know it, the end of his hammer, as soon as it contacts that headlight, snapped off, and the headlight acted like a trampoline, and it kind of went like that, and then the plastic rebounded, and it shot this end of the hammer right up at his forehead, like had to be Mach 1 or 2, and you know, the sound you know, a steel hammerhead contacting human flesh is it's an interesting sound, and it's not one that you often forget, and it's kind of a thunk sound, but it's not like in the movies. It's you gotta experience it in real life sometime for yourself. So anyways, you know, of course, by the time we all got done laughing, we went over and checked him out and made sure he was okay, and he was fine, other than a big goose egg on his forehead and a hurt sense of pride. But we all learned something that day. the bottom is at least roughly stabilized now. We have all our edges locked in. But what I've done now is I've bolted the fender back on the truck, because now we've got a lot of work to actually get this edge back into alignment. It's all very wavy still, and that is our initial goal as we're going into this, is just getting this edge and all the external dimensions of the panel straight again. I don't care about any of the rest of this until this is straight. Now, because there's such an extensive amount of damage here, I may have to work some of this as I'm trying to pull this edge straight, just to relieve the stress on it. But again, the ultimate goal here, as we've been working at this, is just getting this straight again. And right now it still needs a lot of work. It's all very wavy. This is all in still, so it's all not very good, as to be expected. But we'll just keep working at it until that's straight. It's completely futile to start worrying about any of these other dents until this is actually straight. So we're going to do whatever we have to do to get this straight. I can spend a lot of time working this on the floor or the stand or whatever, and then when I go to bolt it on the truck, it could be just out by a mile, which in theory it wouldn't be, but it's just sometimes it's just easier to bolt things back on, and then you get a full visual, and now I've got it locked in. I'm not chasing it around the floor or wobbly stand or whatever. So now I can actually, pull on it without, struggling as much. So that's kind of what we're going for there. So I'm going to get started, and I'll set you up on a stand, and you can watch me suffer, and hopefully we can make some progress on this. So we got our our edge there roughed in to some sort of semblance of what it should be, and all of our other dimensions are also in the ballpark. So now I'm gonna commence to hammering on the rest of this mess here, and we'll start just, I don't even know where to begin, but we're gonna kind of try and see what we can make of all of this. And I mean, it's gonna be hard to make it worse than it is, but you know, we can certainly try. It's day 3 of our dig here. So far, all we've managed to uncover is more bad bodywork and more questions than answers. That is, until moments ago, when I'm told that there's been an amazing discovery that could alter the course of history forever. Let's have a look. You know what this is? And just as I thought. That is a cracking good piece of archaeology right there. That's what that is. What we have here is a cigarette butt from the Ardrossan conquest of 1975. Proving, once and for all, that our archaeologists were correct about the history of this monument. Well, I've been working on this Fender here for some time now, so I went back and reviewed some of the footage that I've been filming of this, and on camera it looks exactly the same as when I started, so that's why bodywork doesn't make very good YouTube. So we're gonna switch it up here, and I'm gonna get this crack here welded up, and at least you got something different to watch, I guess, besides me doing this for, I don't know how long this video is going to be, but it's going to be quite a painful one to watch. So let's get started here. Well, it seems as though I can't quite hook my skeletal alien frame up in here to assess this damage back here, so we're going to have to rip the fender back off. So I'm using the paint stripper wheel thingy again to get all the residual bits of Bondo and mung out of all the crevices that were kind of impeding the dent removal process. So here I've made the reckless decision to use the English wheel to help me out here. I don't recommend doing this unless you're super desperate and have nothing to lose, which is kind of the case here. But I was just getting impatient at this point. And so what I'm doing is I'm using very, very light pressure, and I'm just trying to smooth things out. I'm not trying to stretch it or anything. But the problem here is you make one wrong move with this or twist things the wrong way slightly, and suddenly you've put in more damage than what you're trying to take out. It's very, very difficult, if not impossible, to reverse that damage. So I don't recommend this, but the nice thing about the English wheel is you can have absolutely no idea what you're doing. But if you make a video yourself using it and you put it on the internet, you look really cool, and it gives the illusion that you know what you're doing. Case in point here. So yeah, I don't recommend this, but it kind of worked out for what we were looking for it to do. So that was okay, but you know, the chances of total disaster here are pretty good. So not something I'd recommend doing unless you're just desperate and you're trying to make a stupid YouTube video. This is your brain. And this is your brain on drugs. Well, that's where I'm gonna call it on this one. I don't see any real need to go any further on this. Like I said, the point of this was just to make this into something that resembles a Fender, not to make it into a perfect panel. So we've already kind of spent more time on it than what would be absolutely necessary in order for this to be, you know, something that passes off as a Fender. So the rest of it is just kind of a waste of time for, I guess, YouTube content or something like that, so that I can make a, you know, $2 or $3 off of ad revenue. So obviously you can continue going on with this for an eternity, but it's not going to add any value to the truck to have these fenders perfectly redone. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. So yeah, still got lots of battle scars, but like I said, the shape is back, and there's no real like obnoxious things sticking out anymore. So that's kind of good enough for me, and it all kind of has its you know, scars to tell a story, I guess. But like you know, whatever. We got our tater chip there kind of all straightened out again to some extent. Not saying that's well, it's obviously not the right way to do that. The right way would have been to make a patch and put it in, but it just kind of proves our theory that you can straighten out any piece of metal if you want. So it's pretty forgiving that way. But those of you who were paying good attention probably noticed that we had a couple oil cans. I think there's one here and one here as we were working the panel. And now that we've got, you know, the basic shape back and kind of the dimensions back, the whole panel has tightened up. So you see there's no more oil cans anywhere. So even though it's still, you know, not a mirror finish or anything, the important thing was just getting the shape back, and getting the shape back allowed us to eliminate those oil cans and those soft areas in the panel. So it has all its strength again. And actually, you know, if you wanted to, you could spend a couple more hours on this and pop this brace out. There's some damage behind this brace that would need to come out, and so you could do that, spend a couple more hours with the hammer and dolly, and then start laying the Bondo on it, and you'd actually end up with a Fender that was pretty okay looking. I'd even be tempted to put Bondo on it the way it is now. I've certainly put Bondo on stuff that was worse than this, on cars that were worth a whole lot more than this. And obviously, as any good archaeologist knows, the responsible thing to do after you're done excavating is rebury the archaeology so that it can be discovered and enjoyed by future generations. This was the only fender on the entire truck that I actually made any effort at all to kind of straighten out. The other ones I just kind of touched up and left them as found. So the only point of this was going this far, and this one was just for the YouTube video there. So if you enjoyed any of this, don't forget to dislike and unsubscribe, or possibly even check us out on Patreon. It all helps me out so that I can continue, you know, dedicating time to making videos on stuff that that you can watch. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you when I do some more stuff. And here's how it looks after the archaeology has been reburied. As you can see, there are no traces that we were ever even here. Like the saying goes, take only photos, leave only footprints.